Let me chop up Canelo real quick because I want some easy work. This some easy work. This gonna be easy for your boy Boxingego. Canelo's team, they clap back about the David Benavidez offer. Now, if you guys watch, if you haven't watched, you need to watch Best in the Business. Not even close. I make this look good. I mean, just look at the video quality. It's like 3D. I'm like in IMAX. Listen to the voice. Listen to the audio quality. It's clear to see I'm the best in YouTube history and boxing history. Let's get it. I'm about to chop up Canelo Alvarez, and it's not a game. So I made a video. Make sure you guys check that video out. Canelo Alvarez rejected upwards of 55-60 million to fight against David Benavidez. Now, obviously, Canelo's team, they don't like that. They don't like people feeling like Canelo Alvarez is avoiding David Benavidez, but he is. And I told you that the pressure would grow and the pressure would amount for Canelo Alvarez. Boxing fans, some of them, sometimes it takes some time, but at the end of the day, they're not dumb, and they're not to be taken lightly and to be taken for fools. Canelo Alvarez's trainer, manager, Eddie Reynoso, he heard the news articles and Samson, the promoter of Benavidez, saying that he turned down 55. He said there's not ever been an offer. He says, quote, "I find it in very bad taste that they say that Canelo is afraid of David Benavidez. I don't know how they dare to classify a fighter as fearful who did not hesitate to fight Floyd Mayweather. He faced Miguel Cotto. See, right then and there, that makes me not believe Team Canelo. You're bringing up a Floyd Mayweather fight who was much smaller and older than Canelo, right? And a fight that took place in 2013. What the does that have to do with over 10 years later, Canelo fighting someone who's bigger, not actually younger than Canelo, not quite as old as Floyd Mayweather? You know, what does that have to do with it? You fought Floyd Mayweather, you got spanked, Floyd destroyed you. Easy work. Floyd was on the ropes. He was just getting off on you. So I wouldn't even mention that. Then you talk about Miguel Cotto, also a legend from Puerto Rico who had been through the wars already. He had fought Pacquiao, lost, fought Austin Trout, lost, fought Floyd Money Mayweather, lost, had 2 fights with Antonio Margarito. So Cotto was also older by the time Canelo fought him. These are the facts. The quote continues, Canelo faced the fearsome Gennady Golovkin. Again, you're talking about old fights. The Golovkin 1 fight, I believe, was in 2017. We're right here in 2024. And it was like Triple G had knocked out half the world. Then he rose to light heavyweight, risking everything to face Dimitri Bivol. Now, that's the most recent fight that he listed in his clapback. But guess what? Bivol spanked him. Like, so that's again a loss. You're talking about a loss. Reynoso concludes, the reality is none of the big promoters have given me an offer to fight Benavidez. Listen, you guys can believe whatever you want, but my mama always told me to consider the source. That's the reality of it. Consider the source. Like, if somebody says this movie is bad, like if they say Oppenheimer's bad, but then they tell you some terrible movie that you've watched is the best movie ever, you know what I mean? They like that. They like Dumb and Dumberer. I'm talking about the sequel, not the original OG classic. They like Dumb and Dumberer or Dude, Where's My Car? But then they're telling you that Oppenheimer is a terrible movie. Consider the source. Now, when we consider the source with Canelo, payday, you want payday, I know that. Right? When we're considering that, we have all the information that we need. Benavidez has been calling out Canelo Alvarez for so many years. And Canelo is in the driver's seat to the point where if he really, use a little bit of logic, people. Use just a hint a little piece of common sense. Why would PBC not want Canelo versus David Benavidez? Like, just think about that. PBC is a business, boxing is a business. Why would they not want? Because they're saying we haven't received an offer. What are they going to draft an actual contract up for when you're not trying to fight Benavidez and you're not motioning any of these things? Like, you want to fight Jamal Charlo. So why would they waste the labor and resources to draft up a rough draft to fight Benavidez when you don't want to fight him? It's just like a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. First of all, you said, and this is how I know what I'm saying to be true. Canelo Alvarez, their storyline keeps changing. That's also a sign of deceit. Somebody trying to deceive you. For example, first, when David Benavidez, like let's say 2 years ago, they said, who is he beat? So this is what happens in the world of boxing, people. What happens in the world of boxing is you'll have a dangerous fighter. It'll be a threatening fighter. And we'll say that fighter is the B-side. That B-side fighter will get slighted. They'll get minimized. They'll get marginalized. And the A-side fighter oftentimes comes up with a million different reasons as to why that fight doesn't make sense. Little ploys to try to throw the dogs off the scent. And typically what happens in boxing is that fighter's base, their fans, the stands, will start mirroring and echoing these comments, right? They'll start saying, oh, who's Benavidez? He hasn't beat nobody. And this is what Canelo's team said. Canelo's team says, who's he beat? You have Canelo who's doing these interviews, and he was getting mad because Benavidez's name has steadily grown and kept getting bigger, and he kept getting more and more questions. He wanted to talk about golf and stuff like that. But the questions started to shift to David Benavidez, and he didn't like that. And then he started barking back like, you guys are making me mad. Do not disrespect me. I represent Mexico. I was born. You know, he started doing all this and don't disrespect. How is it disrespecting you to see you fight another boxer and we're the fans? Like, you don't tell me what I want to see. I'll pay for what I want to see. That's how that works as a consumer, right? Now, you don't have to fight him, but then I also don't have to purchase your next fight if I'm not interested in it. That's how that works, right? But anyway, Canelo was basically saying, who is Benavidez beat? Who is he? You beat one Darrell. You fight nobody. Like, he started saying these things. Benavidez stayed his course. And he took on a guy that I think is an awkward style, and much of boxing did as well. A talented southpaw Olympian, and you see the picture. And that was Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, and he stopped him. And we had never, ever seen Andrade look like that in any fight. We've seen Andrade get dropped before, but he was always resilient, got back up, and continued on. Benavidez kind of ran through him and made him quit. So he improved his resume. He also had a mutual opponent in Caleb Plant, in addition to the Boo Boo Andrade fight. But that's a nasty shot. That's a nasty photo. Now that's a nasty photo. But he also fought Caleb Plant, who is a guy that Canelo has stopped, and he beat him. And he's been working on his resume with what he has available with, you know, obviously people like Canelo not trying to fight him, right? And Canelo's team wants your boy Ego to believe that they're not the reason why the Benavidez is not happening. Canelo's in the driver's seat. See, and this is how you know it's cap too. Cap Canelo Alvarez. How come these BS fights that no one wants to see, like Triple G3 at the time that fight happened? Now, again, this is Canelo, what he's famous for. There's fights that people are down to see Canelo fight, but he picks them at a time where that's not the latest buzz. That's not the fight. Like, if he fights Jermall Charlo, many people, including myself, wanted to see that, but we wanted to see it at 154, at 160 years ago. We don't want to see it now with Jermall Charlo. He not getting no haircuts. He's been in the ring one time against a smaller person. Jose Benavidez missed weight, and he's been inactive and dealing with a lot of personal problems. That's not the conditions that we want to see Canelo fight Jermall Charlo with. You know what I mean? And that's exactly how Canelo plays it. Even the Triple G fight, people forget because they eventually fought 3 times, but Triple G had no guys, had Max, his guys, his punches, Canelo is nothing. His punch is nothing. Tick, 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 tick. People forget that tick, tick, tick Golovkin was calling out Canelo well before they fought. It was like at least 1.5 years, 2 years. And Canelo dropped his belt and fought Liam Smith rather than fight, had no guys, it's Kazakhstan. He didn't fight Triple G at that time. So I don't know the exact years off the top of my head, but they fought in 2017. So let's say Triple G had been calling them out since 2014, 15, 2006. Then he dropped the belt. Then they later fought. So that's how Canelo plays it. You know, I don't know if he's waiting, trying to see David Benavidez move out the division, which looks like it's actually happening. And if you want me to make a video about David Benavidez vault stick, that's a complicated name to spell. So just put David Benavidez light heavyweight, and then that'll notify me. If enough of you guys leave me the comment, David Benavidez light heavyweight, then that'll let me know that you want me to make the video about vault stick. Because as of me recording the video, I haven't made that video. So if you want me to talk about what the contingency plan, because Canelo wants no smoke with David Benavidez, and there reports that he could fight for the WBC interim title at 175 with Vodstick. Again, put David Benavidez light heavyweight or Benavidez light heavyweight, some version of that, in the comment, and then I'll make that video if enough people do it. Because the fans run the channel. I know I'm the best in the business, but I can't do this without y'all. Y'all run the channel. But back to Canelo. He gonna get this work too. Canelo's playing games. The biggest fight, I don't like, it's to the point where people don't even really care if the name ain't Benavidez. You could have fought Bivol in a rematch. You fought Triple G3. I mean, it's so apparent to see what Canelo's doing. And Canelo man fans are some of the most pathetic fans in all of boxing. Here's why. Because they know deep down inside in their heart, if they have one, they know, they understand that Canelo Benavidez is a great fight. It's the biggest fight. It'll be the biggest pay-per-view attraction for Canelo in 2024. Yet they're so scared, and fear is fear that makes people do crazy things. That level of fear of Canelo potentially losing. And I'm not saying he loses. I'm saying I want to see it. But the fact that it's a threat, they'll come up with all the excuses in the world to not see it. They'll say, oh, Benavidez, who's he beat? Oh, Benavidez, he can't make weight. Oh, he was on cocaine. First of all, don't tell me nothing about failing no drug test when Canelo failed with clenbuterol. That's just stupid. That's just stupid. Oh, man, Benavidez was on cocaine. Cocaine. But Canelo's on clenbuterol, so that's a wash. They both fail for something. I mean, at least the cocaine, he probably didn't snort a line, not Scarface. I doubt David Benavidez, before whatever fight that was like, huh? Okay. You need people like me. So you can point your fingers and say that's the, like, I doubt he was on his Tony Montana. I kill for fun, right? And snorting before the fight. Canelo was training with that buterol, with that clen in his system. So don't ever mention that. That's not even a good one. But I digress. People are still like, oh, Benavidez, who's he beat? He wants payday, you know, all this stupid stuff. You know, this is a great fight. And it's a fight where people will give Canelo credit for if he can beat Benavidez. The problem is Canelo, his fans have more courage for Canelo than Canelo has in the situation. Now, finally, because I'm the best in the business and I like to give you receipts. I like to give y'all them receipts because so you know it's real, right? Consider the source, like my mama used to say, right? So the reason I said that earlier in this particular video is when we're talking boxing, you gotta look at the common denominators. David Benavidez is fighting complicated styles and taking on all comers. Caleb Plant, a mover slash boxer slash former champion with some rhythm. And, you know, and he had the experience from the Canelo fight and the Uzcategui fight that I was at. So Plant was a dangerous style, and you've seen Plant gave Benavidez some fits early on. Benavidez didn't care, fought him. Then you had to avoid a guy like Demetrius Andrade, Boo Boo, and he's a southpaw Olympian who other people, including Canelo, did not want to fight. He took on all challengers. Now David Benavidez is even considering a move up because Canelo's playing games and he got to keep moving on with his career and his legacy. And the WBC, I mean, we back Canelo, the WBC, we back Canelo. They don't seem to be aggressively, at least for my liking, aggressively enough making Canelo fight Benavidez. He seemed to have the witness protection. So even though I don't even know what happened to the franchise belt and status, but it's apparent it's still like invisible. They got an invisible franchise or something because he ain't fighting Benavidez. And Benavidez got all these WBC belts. But they'd rather patsy Benavidez and say, oh, we'll offer you a WBC interim, where Better Beal's already a champion there, right, at light heavyweight. They rather try to like accommodate him in the new division to protect Canelo. It's sad, man. It's really sad. But consider the source. David Benavidez, so far so good. He ain't ducking no smoke. He fighting dangerous styles. He's calling out. He said he'll fight Charlo. He actually fought Andrade. He actually fought Plant. He fought against Anthony Durrell on the Errol Spence Sean Porter card. I was there. So the common denominator is Canelo. Canelo also had problems with PBC, where Canelo Alvarez was trying to fight the eardrum, or whatever that dude's name, average eardrum. And it got to a point where the zone, like, basically we losing money on Canelo fights because he's not picking premium opponents. I've documented all these things. So you got to consider the source. Finally, why would PBC not want to fight? Here's an old article, and it says big money. Saul Canelo Alvarez reportedly turned down, yes, you guessed it, $100 million deal to fight Jamal Charlo or Errol Spence Jr. Instead, he chose Dmitry Bivol and Golovkin. This is from May 2022. So the reality is there were previous reports that there was a 3-fight deal that PBC offered, right? They offered him a 3-fight deal. This is Tom Brown. It says, Tom Brown, we offered Canelo $45 million for Charlo, $55 million for Spence at 164, or Benavidez. So this is not even the new article. This is not Samson saying it. This is Tom Brown, who is the promoter with PBC, and this is an old article. So this is from Keith Eidick, published Tuesday, May 4th or May 3rd, Cinco de Mayo, 2022. So this has been the game plan for PBC well before these new reports came out. So why wouldn't I believe it? So this shows you that PBC has been trying to do business in the right way with Canelo Alvarez, and they're willing to pay top dollar for Canelo to fight top fights. Now, Charlo, I think that was the introductory fight. And again, this was 2 years ago. This was before we even knew about Charlo's mental health issues, because it was 2 years ago. So that's why they probably included that name. Since then, some things have transpired with Charlo, People said he was drunk calling Aiden Ross and stuff like that. He's had finally had a comeback fight, missed weight. You know, things have changed. And that's what happens year upon year. Things change. So PBC has been interested in Canelo fighting their guys in their biggest events. So why would I believe Eddie Reynoso now when Canelo elected to fight Bivol, which was a cherry pick gone wrong? Bivol's a great fighter, but at the time, Dimitri Bivol, if you look at his performances just before the Canelo fight, he hadn't really been looking elite. He was going the distance with random guys and like UK guys. He just didn't look incredulous. Canelo thought it was sweet with Benavidez, and Benavidez just ended up beating him and, like, you know, fighting to the level. So that was good for Benavidez, but he ended up fighting on DAZN and robbing them for more money rather than taking this PBC deal in 2022. So now we thought it was going to be a lot smoother because he had ran through the DAZN people and lost to Bivol, fought Triple G3, nobody wanted, and then he did his 3-fight deal with Al Heyman and PBC. So people thought, oh, all right, cool. Now Canelo's going to be forced to fight Benavidez. And then now it looks like there's more difficulties trying to make that fight because of Canelo. So I don't believe what I'm hearing from Team Canelo. And I know you don't believe it either. For more boxing, subscribe to the channel and check out this video.